It is February 9th, 2026. I'm going to call to order our regular city council meeting for February 9th, 2026. Before we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, I've had a few community members ask about the Pledge of Allegiance and maybe what it means right now with the world events going on, things going on in the United States. And what I'll reiterate is something I've reiterated for the last couple weeks as we've closed out our meetings, that our Pledge of Allegiance is not to one party, not to one president, not to one person, but to the ideals that this country was founded on and the ideals that we try to live up to every single day as we're here working for the public's good and especially for the citizens of Wheat Ridge. So as we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you're willing and able, please rise. Remember especially maybe the last line of the Pledge of Allegiance and focus on what it means for us as citizens of the United States. So please rise if you're able. Join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk please take roll?
Rachel Holteen.
Present.
Dan Larson.
Present.
Kathleen Martell.
Here.
Scott Ohm.
Here.
Mike Okada.
Here.
Patrick Quinn.
Here, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, sir. Jenny Snell.
Present.
Susan Wood.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Councilors, in your packet, you should have meeting minutes for January 26, 2026. Do we have any corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, we'll give those back to the clerk for approval. Do we have any changes to the agenda today? Councilor Snell.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to make a motion to move agenda item number 5, which is appointing our city clerk, to the top of the agenda for agenda item number 1, which would be directly after public comment.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Is the buttons for Mayor Pro Tem Holteen working? Thank
There we go.
you. 8 ayes, no nays. Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. We have one proclamation tonight. If I may have Matthew Walton from the IBEW Local 3 and IBEW Local 68 electrical workers join me up here from the Minority Caucus. Tonight we have a proclamation honoring Black History Month. Whereas February's Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by Black Americans, recognition of their central role in U.S. history, and a time to reflect on the continued struggle for racial justice and equality. And whereas experts say understanding Black history and learning more about systemic racism is essential for our country to grow as a nation. And whereas Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of Black history, developed Black History Month, Woodson, whose parents were enslaved, was also an author, historian, and a second Black American to earn a PhD at Harvard University. And whereas Woodson chose February to coincide with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass, a famed abolitionist who escaped from slavery, and President Abraham Lincoln, who formerly abolished slavery. And whereas, with a resolution passed in 2020, Wheat Ridge City Council confirmed that racism and hate have no place in our city, and there is much work to be done to stop pervasive, long-standing, and devastating racial injustices in our community. And whereas, in 2021, the city formed the Wheat Ridge Race and Equity Task Force to review city policies, services, ordinances, and community systems that identify policies and practices that contribute to discrimination. And whereas to continue this work, the city's created the Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility, the IDEA Committee, to advise the City Council in policies and practices to make Wheat Ridge a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. Now there be it resolved, I, Corey Stites, Mayor of Wheat Ridge, and the City Council do hereby proclaim February 2026 to be Black History Month, in witness thereof this 9th day of February 2026. Matthew, do you want to say a few words?
Just to give you a little about me,
Good evening, Mayor Stites and City Council members, and thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Matthew Walton. I'm a proud member of IBEW Local 111 and a member of the Electrical Workers Minority Caucus, Denver chapter. I'm joined tonight by my brothers and sisters from IBEW Local 111 and IBEW 68. And for those who may not know who the EWMC is, we're dedicated to advocacy, and we're a wing of the IBEW. We focus on equity, mentorship, and ensuring that minority workers have the support they need to succeed in the trades. We do this because we believe that labor rights are civil rights, and that a strong, diverse workforce is the backbone of a functional society. We want to thank the City Council for presenting this proclamation. We appreciate the city acknowledging and understanding that Black history and systemic racism is essential for acknowledging that, and that it's essential for growth. It is meaningful to see the city reference the legacies of Carter Woodson and abolitionist Frederick Douglass. Ooh, microphone's a little sensitive, isn't it? However, as we stand here today, we must insist that this proclamation be more than just words on paper. We are at a crossroads in our country where Black history is under an active attack. Where there are literal attempts to erase the contribution of our ancestors from the history books. We cannot celebrate the achievements of Black Americans tonight while remaining silent when that history is being targeted. This proclamation must be a commitment to uphold the values and the radical dreams of leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King and James Baldwin. In this very document, the City of Wheat Ridge acknowledged its 2020 resolution stating that racism and hate have no place in our city and that there is much work to be done to stop the racial injustices. We are here to hold you to that, and we expect to work with your task force and your IDEA committee mentioned here tonight to be reflected on how you support working people in the city. Don't just give us a proclamation, but give us a partnership to help fight for equality. Thank you again for this recognition of Black History Month. Let us make sure that when we look back on this day, we see it as a moment of action and not just a ceremony. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will move to our next agenda item, which is our public's right to speak. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak upon items not on the agenda. You'll see up on the clerk's desk up here 3 lights. The green light lets you know that you have plenty of time to speak. When the yellow light is on, you have about 30 seconds to wrap it up. And when the red light is on, please go ahead and wrap up your comments. When you come up, please go ahead and spell your last name and let us know if you live and work in Wheat Ridge. Our first person up tonight is Marta Hetty. And again, I apologize if I mess up anybody's names. And on deck, we have, it's like Matthew Walton.
He was tall.
There you go.
Good evening. My name is Marta Hedde, Hedde. I live right over there on the other side of the park. I'm here tonight representing the Wheat Ridge Historical Society, and I have an invitation to extend to you. I brought invitations, but I think I'm going to leave them right over here, maybe? Is that appropriate? I also brought membership brochures for those of you who have not yet joined the Historical Society. I saw that look. I meant to. I know. We're having an event this weekend, which is a very interesting event. It used to happen in January. We moved it to February, and this year it will premiere on the Day of Love, February 14th. We have a tea and a fashion show of days gone by. We have bustles. We have huge hats with birds' nests in them. I tried to get my husband to bring his bowler tonight, but he wouldn't. He'll have it on Saturday, though. That's all I have. I just hope to see some of you there. I hope to see all of you there, actually. It would be lovely, from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the Ball House. And as we say, it's right across the street from the pickleball courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Walton, I have a suspicion that he already left. Okay. We have nobody else signed to speak in person, and we have nobody signed up online. So we will go to agenda item number 5. Councilor Okada, can you please introduce this item?
Happily, Mayor, thank you. A motion to make an appointment to fill the city clerk vacancy, term ending November 8th, 2027. At issue, City Clerk Kirkpatrick tragically passed in February of 2025. An initiative was added to the ballot at the November 4th, 2025 election to have both the city clerk and city treasurer positions appointed following the completion of the term. This ballot initiative failed, and therefore it is necessary to appoint a city clerk to finish out the term ending in November of 2027. Wheat Ridge City Charter, Section 3.11, subsection C states that if a vacancy occurs in the office of the city clerk or city treasurer, no special election shall be called, but such a vacancy shall be filled by appointment by city council for the remainder of the term. After advertising the vacancy, one qualified application was received from an interested candidate for the vacant seat. An interview was conducted by City Council at the study session on February 2nd, and an appointment will be considered at the regular meeting on February 9th.
Thank you, Mr. Okada. This is a motion by the council. This is not quasi-judicial. Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation?
Nothing beyond the issue statement read by Councilmember Okada.
Excellent. We have no presentation. We have no comments from the public. We'll go to questions from council. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion. Councilor Okada.
I move to appoint Janice Hoppy as city clerk, term to expire November 8th, 2027.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Hulteen. Do we have discussion on the motion? Mayor Pro Tem Hulteen.
I'll make it quick because I made the same comments at the study session, and just really grateful that we have such a qualified candidate willing to step into this. Former council member Hoppy, soon to be city clerk Hoppy, has proven that she's got the trust of the public by serving for 10 years on city council, and certainly has my faith and trust that she will continue to take this office seriously. And she brings a lot of insight and expertise to it, and I'm just really grateful. So thank you for stepping up again, and looking forward to having you as a part of our elected team in Wheat Ridge again.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
Eight ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Congratulations, former Councilor Hoppy and new Clerk Hoppy. Your Honor, would you like to step up and?
kindly raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Janice Hoppy, do solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, the state of Colorado, and the charter and ordinances of the city, and will faithfully perform the duties as the city clerk for which I am about to assume. Let me lower you right there. Okay. Need one more signature. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Clerk Hoppy. We know you'll do a fantastic job. Thank you. We will move to agenda item number 1, which is our consent agenda items. Counselor Snell.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a consent agenda item. I will be doing 1A through 1C. This is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the cities of Wheat Ridge and Edgewater concerning regional homeless navigator services. At issue, the city of Wheat Ridge is committed to regional homeless navigation efforts between Jefferson County and the cities therein to address the increasing number of individuals experiencing homelessness. A previous intergovernmental agreement included the cities of Wheat Ridge, Golden, and Edgewater. Golden has since left the IGA and hired its own homeless navigator. This intergovernmental agreement, in partnership with the city of Edgewater, reflects this change as well as the corresponding payment obligation update between the two cities. I then have item number 1B, a resolution amending the fiscal year 2025 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation in the amount of $423,775 for automated vehicle identification services. At issue, during the October 28th, 2024 City Council meeting, City Council approved the service agreement with Altumint Incorporated to provide automated vehicle identification services. The fee structure guarantees that the city never incurs direct costs to Altumint. However, for financial auditing purposes, the city must capture the total expense to implement the program into the budget. This budget supplemental of $423,775 is offset by a total revenue of $499,586. And item number 1C, a resolution of support for an application to the Colorado Energy Office Local Impact Accelerator Grant. At issue, the city is applying for grant funding from the Colorado Energy Office for the Local Impact Accelerator Grant. The grant would support a zoning code audit, housing supportive code amendments, and financial incentives for accessory dwelling units, multi-unit, and affordable housing. A resolution and letter of support from the City Council are required to apply for this grant program.
Thank you. This is our consent agenda. Counselor Snell, may I have a motion?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. I will scroll here. I move to approve items 1A, 1B, and 1C. Resolution of, I'm sorry.
You're good. That's it.
I move to approve items 1A, 1B, and 1C.
That's it. You're good.
Yeah,
Second.
sorry.
We have a second by Counselor Okada. Will the clerk please poll the council?
Eight ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Excellent. We'll go to agenda item number 2. Counselor Larson, will you please introduce this item?
And thank you, Mayor. This is Council Bill number 02-2026, an ordinance for second reading. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 13 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning vehicle muffler requirements. At issue, noise produced by motor vehicles with non-compliant, altered, or missing mufflers is injurious to the public health and welfare. This ordinance adopts muffler-specific code requirements to better address vehicular exhaust noise and its control.
Thank you. This is a public hearing on second reading. It is not quasi-judicial. I will open the public hearing. And Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation?
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Dahl does have a brief presentation.
Thank you very much. As read in the issue, this obviously deals with noise from non-compliant mufflers. Council saw this at study session a month or two ago and gave direction to myself and the police department to draft this ordinance. We looked at ordinances that other cities have. We did some work to revise those and come up with something that was not only appropriate for the city, but was something that the police department knew they could work with. And this is the result of that. You'll notice that the ordinance itself defines what an altered muffler is and a compliant muffler is. And that's important because the compliant muffler is one that's got the original factory installed or a replacement that's the same and is appropriate to the vehicle. So now we've established what a compliant muffler is, and that's important because if you go to the second page of the ordinance, there's a violation if you fail to operate or if you operate a motor vehicle without a compliant muffler. And so you've got to define what it is so that you can then create an offense that's specific to that. People are aware of exactly what the offense is. So that's what the ordinance does, defines it and makes it a violation to operate a motor vehicle without such a compliant muffler. It goes on in a couple of ways that was important, I know, to the council and to the police department to further make a violation to modify or sell a non-compliant muffler because that's something the police department would be able to use. You'll notice that for enforcement, it's written in a municipal court. The police department specifically asked if I'd add some language. It's on the second page of the ordinance. I can read it to you. They've said, would you add, and I have, in acting to stop a motorist and in issuing a citation under this section, the law enforcement officer may rely upon their professional judgment, training, and experience in determining the vehicle in question is being operated at a volume greater than normal traffic or similar noise compliant vehicles, which allows them to have sort of a reasonable basis for actually making the stop and then determining that the muffler is or is not compliant. And that was important to them to be able to have kind of a basis for, well, why are you pulling this car over? You can't really see the muffler until you pull it over. But it's basically probable cause for them to be able to make that stop. You'll notice also that the ordinance requires that the defendant in each case has to attend at least one initial court appearance on the charge. That can be by video, of course, and the municipal court judge has limited in terms of the fines or the minimum fines that can be imposed for a violation. First violation, 200, second, 300, third and subsequent within 6 months, 600. And that was, again, direction we got from you that repeat violations ought to have a greater consequence. And obviously there's more to the ordinance, but those are the key provisions that I know are responsive to not only the police department's input, but what we believe we heard from you in the study session. That's all I've got. Be pleased to answer questions.
Thank you. We would typically go to questions from the public. We have nobody signed up either in person or online to speak. So do we have any questions from council? Mayor Pro Tem Hulteen.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's clear, but I just want to seek clarification here. For those subsequent violations, is it for the person or for the car? The violation goes with the driver of the car,
It
correct?
goes with the person.
Okay.
Because a car, while a car is in violation, a car can't appear in municipal court.
Yep,
But
yep.
actually, that's a question, that's a reasonable question, but it's the person.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Attorney, I guess if that's the right way to address you, Mr. Dahl.
Mr. Dahl's
Sorry.
fine, it's fine.
I think you said what is the muffler, an unaltered muffler or a stock muffler, correct? And what if I have a late 60s hot rod? how do you find, and with all due respect to the, how this bill came in front of us, how would one, assign a proper muffler to somebody's 23T bucket or something like that?
Well, what we have is the two definitions. They're on the first page of the ordinance. So we'd start with, is your muffler a compliant muffler? Is that one that is the original factory-installed muffler or a replacement muffler which conforms in all respects to the specifications of the original factory-installed muffler? So a aftermarket muffler that, for example, had 30% fewer baffles wouldn't be compliant in all respects to the specifications of the original factory-installed muffler on that 64 Mustang, which I wish I'd had, by the way, in the day.
Yeah, thank you. Just a little follow-up. So it's not a decibel rating, it's
It's
more
the,
of a, and,
the components of the muffler itself.
well, and I get, we don't want to, but if Pat has a nice hot rod, and sometimes it's nice to gas it every now and then, I don't want our Wheat Ridge's finest to issue me anything. And how does this in respect to our brothers and sisters that love Harley Davidsons? Because I know that we're going to get, I know people that have them, so.
They're also motor vehicles, and they have original specifications for the factory-issued mufflers on them, so it's no different. If there's an aftermarket muffler installed that, again, has 30% fewer baffles or none, that isn't compliant with it doesn't have to be the original factory, and you don't have to go out and find one that hasn't been, that's been in a parts store forever. You can get a replacement muffler that is made yesterday not by Honda or whoever, but so long as it matches the specifications, then you're okay.
And I got one last one, because I've been behind it, something that it appears that they have some kind of switch that can make it backfire and be really obnoxious under a bridge or something. Does this address that as well?
Well, not directly, other than what would happen, I think, in practice. And honestly, that's why the police department asked me to add that language about, if based upon my judgment as an officer that has, work patrol, kind of knows what loud mufflers are and what they aren't, and I'm not that expert, but that's in the ordinance, then I hear that happening, and I, have then probable cause to make that stop. Beyond that, I'm no technical expert, and so I can't tell you how they would observe or know by looking at the vehicle. Do you have that switch? It's not any different, I suppose, than the cutoff switches that people install on mufflers in the 30s, actually, and you went out in the country and you actually completely bypassed the muffler. My father used to tell me this, and apparently it was true. So it's really the modern equivalent of that. But in doing so, you're now not operating the vehicle with a compliant muffler because you're not using the compliant muffler. So I think that would still be a good citation. If I were prosecuting that case, I'd tell the judge the fact that they completely bypassed it doesn't mean they bypassed the violation, because I think they still are.
Counselor Snell.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Counselor Quinn brings up a good point, and I just was thinking about when I moved to Wheat Ridge, I was pleasantly surprised at the thriving classic car culture that we have in Wheat Ridge. I've never seen so many beautiful classic cars in one small area. And frequently, as Counselor Quinn brought up, the exhaust system is modified. Not necessarily, I think, for noise, or, but for looks and for that style of engine. So, just thinking about how many car shows we see in Wheat Ridge, including at the Carnation Festival and things like that, one could extrapolate that there could be a police officer sitting outside of the Carnation Festival as those cars pull out. I know that that's just a very crazy hypothetical, situation. However, I think it's worth mentioning that there are plenty of folks here that have cars that they love, that they work on, that they or have no intention of, breaking any sort of law. And those are in fact almost works of art. So I just wanted to kind of call that into attention. And then there's also, this made me think of something else that I think I'd just like to mention. There's a muffler modification that some folks do when they have a diesel engine to be able to increase the amount of smoke that it puts out. And I know that that is not a noise concern as much as of an environmental concern. And it's just really rude. But I just wanted to call that into attention as there's another sort of modification that has other effects as well. So thanks for listening. That's just my thoughts there.
Thank you. Councilor Larson.
And thank you, Mayor. And Mr. Dahl, could you help us understand how the bullet toward the end there that describes unreasonable noise and how that would factor into a law enforcement officer's decision, possibly to pull over and maybe examine a car, and the connection between compliant muffler and unreasonable noise?
Sure. The unreasonable noise in the officer's professional judgment and exercising their experience enables them to have a basis to make a stop. And then they are able to, based upon their experience in examining the muffler, write a citation. I will confess I'm not an expert in knowing, okay, we pulled the car over, there's the muffler. Is it off market or is it standard? And I'm not sure how the police department would go about making that decision before issuing the citation. I think there's probably no question that a really loud car is going to get a citation, and a defense, if I'm the owner of the car, a defense when I get to municipal court might be, here's the receipt where I went to the auto parts store and I bought this muffler, and it's model XG27, and you will see in the original specifications for my car, it's the same muffler. And I'm asking for that case to get dismissed. So I'm playing the videotape forward in terms of how that might go. But if I can't prove that, then all right. So what I'm taking too long to, I guess, say is I think the officer in the first instance is hearing a really loud car and is going to exercise his or her discretion to pull that vehicle over. And in the absence of sort of objective, gee, I see it, this has clearly been welded on a new muffler, they'll make a discretionary decision whether to write a ticket or not. And I think this allows me to respond to Councilmember Snell's point about, well, what about car shows, et cetera? I think let's all remember that when we put laws on the books, not every person that could possibly fit within the law as a violation is written a ticket. That's why we have a police department with experienced officers that exercise their discretion to either write a ticket or not based upon all the circumstances. And I live in the real world, and I would expect that there will be some cars that are loud that have the wrong muffler that might not get a ticket. There are some that are loud that have the right muffler that might, but I believe that that's why you have court to determine whether or not there's a violation. So what I'm trying to say is I don't think that the ordinance will ensure that every unreasonably loud car will get a violation, but it gives the police officers a tool to address them. And I guess the final point I'd make, I didn't realize I was making 3 points in answer to your question, but the final point I make would be, especially in this arena where there's some subjectivity involved, who's getting who? That's just the truth here, that you can't be sure of all of these, well, what if fact patterns until you've tried it for a while. And not unlike all the other laws that the city passes, you get a year's worth of experience, and there may be some adjustments that we'll need to make. And I would encourage the council to kind of take the longer view in making sure that we have a system that over time is refined to the point where it's functioning well. If it starts to not function well for other reasons, new equipment on the market, then we react to that. I'm assuring you and giving you comfort that we don't have to get it 100% right now because you're guessing a little around the edges. That's okay.
Councilor Quinn?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Something that just came to my mind, Mr. Dahl, does this address Jake brakes on diesel trucks or no?
Well, Jake brakes are the kind of a form of bypass. So I'm not sure. I mean, that's one I guess I'd want to sit down with the police department on. This says you've got to have a muffler that's compliant with the original specs. It may well be that Jake brakes are a form of bypass or cutoff, in which case if you're not really using the muffler, then it's equipped with the muffler, but you're not using it. So effectively, you're operating a vehicle without one or with only half of one. And I'm not a gearhead. I'm sorry. I can't, got limits. So I guess I would promise you that it will speak to the police department about that. If Jake brakes are a mechanical animal that we can't characterize as compliant muffler, not compliant muffler, then we'll bring that to you. I wouldn't suggest a modification tonight because I would be guessing too much about it.
Thank you.
Councilor Martell?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. I'm not a gearhead either. So I'm still kind of, I have some concerns. I like the intent of this and the loud cars and the people who are doing modifications that might not be for the greater good. But I'm thinking about some of maybe the unintended consequences of this that have given me pause. And one is like the language of the original specs, the original specifications. What if there's a situation where a car manufacturer finds a default and original specifications are found to be bad, and there's a recall and there's a new standard and a new standard? Does the way this is written allow for the original specifications or the most recent specifications, or do we need that kind of wiggle room?
We could certainly add that. I think that if there's been a recall and that equipment's been replaced, I'd be shocked if it were equipment that was louder, for example. But I honor your question, right, which is it says original specifications or replacement that matches that, and now the original specs have been changed. We could add a second reading amendment to address that. I'm not, to be very frank, I'm not very worried about what will happen is very loud cars are going to get ticketed, and cars that aren't loud aren't. A very loud car is not going to have benefited from a recall replacement that allowed that.
Yeah.
That's unlikely to happen.
Okay, and thank you, that's fair. I think the concern on that one is more that we are putting in language that might later, we already know might later need to be cleaned up, more than this specific. But another kind of unintended consequence that keeps rolling through my head is the idea of if somebody is in an accident and a part of their muffler falls out, and the expense of the repair is significant, and they're trying to get to work, and they don't have the money to get it repaired for another 2 months, and they get pulled over in that month. Are we creating this cycle to somebody where they're not trying to make their car louder, they're not trying to, tweak efficiencies of their car, but they're just in a bad cycle and we're making it worse with a $200 fine and a required court appearance that might be by video, but if they're working a shift job, they might not be able to get to that court hearing. I want to be sensitive to those kinds of situations. If a catalytic converter is stolen from somebody's car, how does that impact their muffler being compliant and non-compliant? Just, I don't want to be looking at this from this target view of noise issues, which I think are valid, but what are these unintended consequences around the impact to the person who might be getting a ticket, not to the fault of their own, and how do we address those kinds of situations?
Okay, well, I can respond to that. Officer discretion, I think, is really important here. And I don't use that as a sort of there's the right phrase, a get out of jail free card? Probably not. But, you know, I don't use that as an easy answer. But let's remember that the car's loud, person's pulled over, and I explain, this was in a wreck, it's been slightly repaired, I need to, people explain their behavior to, their apparent violation behavior to officers on the street all the time. And as the officer that at the initial stage is kind of in charge of deciding whether that passes muster. Gosh, you know, there's a whole lot of mud on this car. Did that accident happen last week, last month, or last year? Because your example is it was recent. You know, that's not the only example. And so if we start writing exceptions like that, I suggest that the right way for fact patterns like that to be addressed is officer discretion in the first instance. The officer doesn't believe the person, but actually they were telling the truth and just was hard to see. They get cited in this court, then that's a story that gets told to the judge. And that's why we have officers exercising discretion. It's why we have the judge looking at the facts and saying, I, for various reasons, don't believe a violation's correct here. With respect to I'm not able to come to court, you know, there's lots of reasons for that, and lots of defendants will ask for that. They'll ask for a continuance so that they can. And we all know that one of the complaints, I suppose, about court generally is if a continuance is asked for, it's always granted, which is bad in some ways for the neighbors that want, you know, a nuisance to be cleaned up right away, but is directly responsive to your point, which is the person says, you know, I'm shift worker, I can't do this, can I have a continuance to another? The judge will absolutely always grant that. So I'm not trying to say your question isn't valid, it is, but what I'm saying is that the systems in place, both from the initial contact on the street all the way through a continued court hearing, are the remedy for that, or are in place to address the subtleties that are outside of the fact pattern that we all agree is the problem. Not to say there wouldn't be other unintended consequences. If there are, that falls into the bucket of a year from now if we have to do some tune-up, no pun intended. Say, I'm really not that funny, I try hard. We will, and I'm serious about that. This is something that we want to make sure fits and does not unfairly target people.
Thank you for that. Thanks.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Hulteen.
Thank you. So to address Councilor Martell's question, there is the repair clause in the ordinance too that gives the judge the right to let repair be in lieu of the fee or the first fine. So I just want to make mention of that as part of this. I think I'm reminded as we're sitting here of two things. One is one of my favorite Simpsons episodes, because we need a Simpsons cultural reference here, in which Bart's in Sunday school and the Sunday school teacher is trying to talk about like who goes to heaven and who doesn't go to heaven. And Bart has like 1,000 questions. And I just remember at one point, he's like, if your leg gets gangrene and falls off, will it be waiting for you in heaven? And I think of that just because when we are talking about this type of adoption of an ordinance, we really get into a lot of scenarios that I think are really valuable for us to dialogue here. The perspectives from your heads and equity lenses, I think, are really important to us. My experience with regulating sound and noise is that it is very, very tricky. Our current noise ordinance came back to us twice. So I think one of the best things that I really like about how this is drafted is that it's really allowing our police department to figure out what enforcement looks like for them and for us to get the data and then for it to come back to us if there are certain provisions of within this are either, not meeting our satisfactions, that we feel like it's not being enforced enough, police department, the judicial system's coming back and saying these are real problems with this, then we've got some real data to understand how this is behaving. So I think this dialogue is really, really helpful to flag some of those concerns and to recognize that we bring the expertise to that. I think also just getting comfortable with the fact that anytime you do a first pass on a noise ordinance, it is, as Mr. Dahl said, it's going to be messy. And but we have, a great attorney and we've got great leadership in the city that will help us figure out how to navigate that. So I just want to thank everyone for the questioning around that to help us at least get the first action started.
Seeing no other questions from council, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and I will ask Councilor Larson for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. And before we go to the motion, if it's all right, I would, just a real brief statement on this.
Well, we'll take a statement after the motion.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Council Bill 02-2026, an ordinance amending Chapter 13 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning vehicle muffler requirements, ordered, published, and that it take effect immediately upon adoption and signature by the mayor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Larson, a second by Councilor Okada. Now do I have a discussion on the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I'll be very brief here. This is an issue I have been working on for the past 5 years. And I'm just very pleased to see how we've arrived at this point. I congratulate our legal counsel for the bandwidth of this. It just seems to take in a lot of the concerns that come up and without getting heavy-handed or too prescriptive. But I can't tell you, why are we talking about mufflers anyway? I can tell you this, the issue is not about revenue, the issue is not about police clamping down on custom cars. It is about noise. This code amendment gives notice that we are serious about muffling excessive noise, and it gives our police the tools to enforce it. Excessive noise disturbs the peace and degrades our quality of life. A car, truck, or muffler running down our streets without a muffler is more than an annoyance. That way too loud car, truck, or motorcycle blasting down the street is not something you can talk over or just ignore. But we don't have to tolerate it just because we live near a busy street. Excessive noise is an affront to the peace and quiet we expect to enjoy in our homes and in our public spaces. Excessive noise from a vehicle running without a muffler clearly disturbs the peace and degrades our quality of life. Excessive noise is also shown to be a hazard to our health. It contributes to hearing loss, sleep disruption, and high blood pressure, and it is something we can do something about. 2 years ago, when I was knocking on doors asking for people to vote for me, the most common concern by my neighbors expressed by far was speeding and excessive noise. So tonight, with council support, we can make a modest addition to our city code that will go a long way to improving the quality of our life. Finally, I believe this small step will help protect our quality of life here and will protect the quality of life here that makes Wheat Ridge a truly great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Quinn.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Larson, Councilor Larson, for bringing this up. I do support this. I don't think this is going out for any of my fellow car enthusiasts or hot rodders. I think there are some people that purposefully make their vehicles obnoxiously loud. I was behind one the other day, and it was annoying. I think real true hot rodders don't want an annoying car. They want a sweet sounding one. And I do have one little concern about Jake brakes because they are a safety related issue with big semis, kind of down 70 by, and I know some places have ordinances where they don't allow the Jake brakes. I can see a couple of our big hills where, we're having a lot of construction around our city. And once again, it's up to the discretion of the police, but there are people that can sometimes be annoying with the Jake brakes. But I think what you told us about, we can bring this back and make some amendments or revisit it later on if we have some issues. And I'm sure our police are car enthusiasts as well and know what a loud muffler is. So thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Okada.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Councilmember Larson. I appreciate you advocating for this and bringing it to council in this way. I am deeply in support of this ordinance. During my campaign, I heard a lot of the same concerns from constituents in District 4 about noise and speeding. Even closer to my neighborhood, we have some folks who are leaving our neighborhood who are deciding to sell pretty quickly. And not every single one of them, but quite a few of them have talked to me about it's a bit noisier here than I thought it was going to be. Along Ward Road, we do have a lot of those issues. My house faces Ward Road directly, so we get to hear every single piece of it. And we know that a growing city has growing measures of this problem, even in the development that we saw with the parallel being built and folks moving into those apartments, the rest of the townhouses around that area. You can see the difference in traffic in that area, and the noise is proportional to it. So having said that, I'm in deep support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Wood.
I just wanted to say I truly appreciate you bringing this to us, and Councilor Larson, thank you for initiating this, because I do think it truly, loud noises from either missing mufflers or faulty mufflers, it certainly falls into the nuisance category, and to have some way to address that is wonderful. I also appreciate the questions that were asked tonight and the exceptions that were brought up, because it's enlightening to know that those things may come to light in the future and there may be some changes. But it's just as comforting to know that those changes can be made if there comes a time that we need to do that. So I'm definitely in support of this.
Thank you. Seeing no more discussion for the council, will the clerk please poll the council?
8 ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Excellent. We'll move to agenda item number 3. Counselor Quinn, will you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to bring forth Council Bill number 03, 2026, an ordinance repealing Article 4 of Chapter 11 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning amusement arcades and amusement centers. At issue, the ordinance repeals the licensing procedures for amusement arcades. It has become apparent that this section of the Code of Laws is outdated and no longer necessary for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of Wheat Ridge.
Thank you, Counselor Quinn. This is an ordinance on first reading. Set the day and time for a public hearing. Will you please make a motion?
Sorry. I move to approve Council Bill 03, 2026, an ordinance repealing Article 4 of Chapter 11 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning amusement arcades and amusement centers. Order it published and a public hearing set for February 23rd, 2026 in City Council chambers. And if adopted on second reading, it will take effect 15 days after final publication as required by the charter.
We have a motion by Counselor Quinn and a second by Counselor Ohm. Will the clerk please poll the council?
8 ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 4. Counselor Martell, will you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning write-in candidate affidavits. At issue, this ordinance requires that write-in candidates for any elected office must file an affidavit of intent with the city clerk prior to 64 days before the election.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on first reading to set the day and time for a public hearing. Counselor Martell, may I please have a motion?
I move to approve Council Bill number 04-2026, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning write-in candidate affidavits. Order it published. Public hearing set for Monday, February 23rd, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. as a virtual meeting and in City Council chambers, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication as provided by Section 5.11 of the Charter.
I have a motion by Counselor Martell and a second by Counselor Snell. Will the clerk please poll the council?
8 ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Excellent. We have done agenda item number 5, so we'll move to agenda item number 6. Mayor Pro Tem Holteen, will you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mayor. My pleasure. I am thrilled to introduce a motion to adopt the 2026 legislative agenda. The Legislative Committee has recommended that the City Council consider the adoption of the 2026 legislative agenda.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Holteen. This is a motion by the council. It is not a public hearing. Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation?
Maybe from our legislative committee, if they have anything else to add?
I just have a few quick things because I gave an update a couple of weeks ago. So thank you. We are excited to get to work. We are meeting on Tuesday to initiate our list of potential bills for us to take legislative action on this year. Just a reminder, we said goodbye to the talented Cole Hazlip last Friday, and we were really excited that the talented Amanda Harrison will be stepping in as our committee staff designee. So we're really excited to get to work with Ms. Harrison on that. I think the only thing I just want to point out that might be a little different from when this first came to us, we updated two things. We added governance to the home rule section. A lot of what the legislature is looking at actually has to do with our ability to do our own governance. And we felt it was important for us to be including that as a specific issue area. And then we also added special districts and utilities as its own standalone. Again, there's a lot of legislation there that directly impacts our community and our ability to move forward with our own priorities and plans. And then we also received a little bit of support from Mr. Dahl on clarifying some language around some of the housing issues to make sure that there wasn't conflict between like two different areas. So we feel really confident that this agenda reflects due diligence by all of us, and we're really excited to enact it. So thank you so much, and that's what I got.
Thank you. We have nobody signed up from the public to ask questions tonight, so we'll go to questions from council. Seeing no questions from council, Mayor Pro Tem Holteen, may I have a motion on this item?
I move to adopt the 2026 legislative agenda.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Holteen and a second by Councilor Ohm. Do we have discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
8 ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Excellent. That is all of our agenda items tonight. We will go to Councilor Ohm with a motion for our executive session.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to go into executive session for a conference with the city manager, city attorney, and the appropriate staff under Charter Section 5.7B1 and CRS 24-6-4024B for legal advice on specific legal questions, federal grant conditions. I further move to return to the open meeting at the conclusion of the executive session.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilor Ohm
Second.
and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Holteen. Will the clerk please poll the council?
8 ayes, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you. We will adjourn to executive session, and then we'll be back afterwards. All right, we will reconvene our meeting for February 9th, 2026. It is 8:46. We are reconvening from our executive session. We will go back into our agenda items. So we will start with city manager's matters.
Nothing else this evening. I'll defer our time to our study session.
Thank you. City attorney's matters. It looks like he stepped out. We'll go to elected official matters. You can either do it now or defer till the study session. Councilor Okada.
I'll defer to the study session.
Thank you. Councilor Larson.
Do have to say that the Super Bowl last night was probably one of the most boring and lopsided games I've seen in a long time.
Councilor Wood.
I'll defer till later.
Thank you. Councilor Quinn.
I concur with the Super Bowl comment. The best thing about it, it wasn't Denver getting whipped. But other than that, nothing, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Those of us who were here in the 80s remember that quite fondly. Councilor Martell.
I'll defer till later. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Snell.
I'll defer. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ohm.
One quick comment. I want to say a huge thank you to either, I don't know if it was the city staff or if it was CDOT. There was a massive pothole on Wadsworth.
Dan called about it. Yeah, it was CDOT. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Holteen.
All right, I'm not going to defer. I'm going to go ahead and go now because I don't get any sharper as the night goes on. I just have two things tonight. I just really appreciated the participation from our partners tonight for the Black History Month. And something that I always think about when we talk about Black History Month is that when I purchased my house, I've said this many times up here, my plat explicitly prohibited people of color from owning property where my house was built. They could be in my employ, but they could not live there. And we took action several years ago to really help property owners have that black line in their plat. So that's no longer maybe one of the first things they learn about the community they're living into, moving into. But I thought about that, and that creates a lack of Black history in our community when for a long time people didn't have access to be property owners and contributing to the future of the city. So I'm really proud of where we are now and in the direction that might be going. The second thing I wanted to share, so I sat in on the DRCOG working session last week, and it ran over. They've been long ones lately, but they were going over two things. One was DRCOG received pretty significant funding from the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant. There's two components of that. One is subgrants to jurisdictions, and we received a $600,000 subgrant through that. That is going to be supporting our staff to really look at, looking at building efficiency and how we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions through building policy and code updates. So I'm excited about that. Across the metropolitan area, DRCOG also got their own grant portion of that, and they're doing a lot of workforce training and doing a lot of different both policy and program areas to support multifamily, commercial, and low-income buildings to become more energy efficient. So we're sort of double beneficiaries of that grant. The second piece of that particular working session really focused on an update on our what is the AAA? The area on aging. There's another A. The regional area council. Thank you. Too many acronyms. And DRCOG historically has done amazing work reaching and serving our community. The funding for that has just been absolutely eviscerated, both really principally from the federal level, trickling down to the state levels. So they just literally don't have the funding to be providing the support services and the meals. So I'm sharing that here just in that if we hear from our community members that services and support has been becoming harder to receive, a lot of that is just because the funding has been slashed through the DRCOG program. So anyway, I will keep you updated on that. I know they're looking to try and get more funding for that, but not the best update they've given on that. And that's what I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll keep it short as well. I also want to thank Matthew Walton and the entire crew for coming in tonight, and I believe Counselor Quinn helped set that up, so it was great having that whole crew in here tonight for our Black History Month proclamation. I also want to thank our business community. We have a big weekend, or a big week of business tomorrow, starting with our business association meeting. Business district is meeting about the Wadsworth grant. We had several grants applications come in for that, so that'll be tomorrow as well. We have ribbon cuttings on Wednesday and Thursday this week, and then coffee with the mayor this Saturday at Stylistic Crate, 9 a.m. So I hope to see everybody there. As usually, if you can find it, if you're looking for a Valentine's Day gift, a Galentine's Day gift, or a Palentine's Day gift, anything you want, you should find it and find it by in Wheat Ridge. We will take a 5-minute recess, so it is 8:52 now, and we will be back in at 8:57. We are adjourned. Thank you. 8:57. I'd like to call to order the special study session for February 9th, 2026. We have one agenda item tonight, which is our next steps for Color Strand and Wilmore Davis. We have nobody signed up online or in, I was gonna say in studio, but in chambers for public comments. So City Manager Goff, we will go to you and look for a staff presentation.
Just real briefly, as you mentioned, this is next steps. We're not looking for, we're not trying to make any decisions tonight, what's going to happen on those properties. But Alternative Lawrence, she has a summary of a proposal that we have out, and we'd like some direction from you all. If we decide to move in this direction, there'll be many more meetings and updates to talk about, what's going to happen on those properties. But Lauren, you want to get going?
Sure, thank you. Yes, I'll be brief given the time. As you will recall, when the school closures were announced now a couple years ago, this council specifically asked the district not to make any decisions with regard to the disposition of Color Strand and Wilmore Davis until we could get through some of our citywide planning efforts. And thankfully, they honored that request, and we adopted two, specifically the city plan and the Parks and Rec pathway document last fall, which both spoke to the vacant schools, both how redevelopment could be compatible with the neighborhoods and what needs we might have for those the vacant areas, the parkland areas on those properties. So with that policy foundation in place, our Parks Department looked pretty closely at what their needs are. As you'll recall, we have existing uses at both of those properties, and you saw the diagrams at the back of that packet that showed how our Parks and Rec Department would like to utilize the land. It's not the same on both properties, and in neither case are we able to take down the entire property or the school buildings themselves. And so what we have decided is that the best likely next step, especially in order to pursue the municipal interest process with the district, would be to identify a developer partner. And so the attached draft RFI, request for interest, that you saw would be the mechanism by which we would like to identify potential development partners and reuse concepts that align with our city plan and with our pathways doc and our Parks Department's park uses. This is really an early step. The reason that we're using an RFI instead of an RFP is to just get a sense of interest and feasibility. So not at this point trying to commit to one developer or one outcome or one specific project, but position ourselves to proceed in the district's municipal interest process, which is outside of their typical putting a property on the market. We've talked about this with staff at Jeffco Schools, and they've been supportive of this approach. In terms of public engagement, I think we would put a short blurb in the connections that comes out in March, but we're not quite at the point where it would make sense to do more meaningful public engagement or information. The best time for that, I think, would be after we'd identify a partner, understand what the reuse would be, and also be able to gauge whether the district would pick our proposal before going to the market. So tonight, in short, we're really looking for your feedback on that general RFI approach, the balance that we've tried to strike here in terms of public uses on the land versus private redevelopment, and our overall process and timing. As Patrick said, we'll keep you informed as we keep moving forward. But if you agree with this approach, we would likely launch the RFI here before the end of the month.
Dates, or I can't, I'm sorry. And this, did you mention it, what school district's doing? This aligns, I think, with the timing of what the school district, the school board is working on right now. I think they had a study session this last week, and they're planning to have a meeting on February 12th to surplus all the remaining schools. So that's kind of the timing of why we're bringing this forward now. We wanted to wait for that process to be done before we send out an RFI. I think for February 12th, right? I think they're meeting. Yeah.
Thursday. Okay. We'll go to questions from council. Councilor Ohm.
Is it your understanding that generally we're not looking at, or they aren't looking at changing any zoning? Zoning will likely stay the same?
I think there are scenarios where the zoning could change. We put that in the RFI just in terms of full transparency. Color Strand is is zoned R1 along the 38th frontage. Wilmore Davis is zoned R2. I think when we look at the city plan, townhome development could be appropriate in both of those sites, and if that were to be the case, it'd have to be rezoned. If childcare or a charter school could reuse the building, there'd be no need to do a zone change. So it could be on the table.
Any other questions? Counselor Larson.
Reading through this, I took the time to go ahead and do a little research on the sort of the background of these two locations. And I found out that the Wilmore Davis School is named after both the Wilmore family and the Davis family, who were pioneers in the floral industry in Wheat Ridge. They had greenhouses right near 38th and Watts. I mean, although it does kind of take us back to the founding of the city, they are two very important families. The other one, I learned about Hattie Colorstrand and how the importance she had in development of Jefferson County's school program, and some of the important contributions that her daughter Naomi made as well with our school system. These are two, or in fact, three very important families. If the city acquires the parkland, would we be able to maintain the names, or would the names divert to something else? Because the names are for the schools and not necessarily the parkland.
We do have a naming process procedure in our Parks and Rec rules, I believe, that you would consider names. I think we'd have to maybe check with these families to see if they would want their name used, I think, as well, if there's descendants around. But yeah, there is a process for that comes to council.
Great, thank you. And then my other question has to do with a little more than detail, but when you look at Colorstrand and some of the description describes how the soccer fields in the parkland to the north of Colorstrand School, and it is a fairly, it's a pretty big area and would make a wonderful park. But the intent would be to connect it with the green belt. The issue, as I see it, though, is that you've got a fairly steep bluff there, and
Yeah.
do you just put a slide in, maybe, and just, maybe a water slide, or find some way around there? You do have the McDonough property, and whether maybe get convince Mr. McDonough that maybe he would like a path through his property.
Yeah.
But it seems like a pretty tough hill to climb there, literally. Connecting that property with the greenbelt.
Yeah, that has been the problem. Mr. Larson, for years, we've always looked at it. We've had requests. I think maybe though with a bigger project, if there is a partner that comes in, who knows what, they do with their portion of the property. Maybe it's part of that development agreement that it'd have to be a lot of switchbacks, I think, or of some sort, ADA compliant. I think it's doable, but there's price of money involved. Yeah.
So we'll save that discussion for another
Yeah.
day. Thank you.
At least when I was a kid, there was a trail back there, and it does open up into the back, but we used to use that quite a bit for the school. Mayor Pro Tem Holteen.
Thank you. Not really, two comments more than questions. My first one is just really thanking staff for being proactive. I know that council members Ohm and I have been meeting with staff for several years around the preservation of the space adjacent to Happiness Gardens. It's weird, but we that neighborhood, which is really the neighborhoods that Scott and I both live in, is actually a park desert. It technically has parks, but they're not really programmed for green space or play, and they're not readily accessible. You have to cross like a arterial or go down like a steep embankment. Anyway, so the community, I know for Wilmore Davis, is going to be really grateful to see that retained. One comment / request on that is that we make it not attractive as a off-leash dog park. It's still being, continued to be used like that because it's a mostly like secluded, fenced in. The second thing I just want to name with both of them, but I think this maybe applies more to the Colorstrand location, is looking back on my time in real estate, sometimes like heavily programmed, especially like group sports play areas, that include things like whistles and yelling and so multiple fields and multiple play is definitely something that has an impact on the neighborhood. I see that there's some buffer areas that are programmed in here, but I just want to kind of flag that like that much play area that's programmed for group sports will actually have like a pretty, like, we'll have a noise issue on the community. And we do hear about noise issues sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be an increase of what's there today. From a play standpoint, it's just it's keeping, there could be some potential expansion, you're right. I've heard from some of the neighbors there that they hope that's maybe one neighbor I've heard from, they love to hear the kids, and they're hoping that something similar comes back, but I hear you, it could be a problem down the road.
I'll just name, I am one of those people who would love to be able to hear like kids playing on play equipment and sports. So I am not that person. I'm thinking just sort of in that like redevelopment. And anyway, I'm supportive of this process, and I just want to thank staff for the forward thinking and bringing us in at the right time to be able to engage in this so that we can bring forward the best option. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Wood?
I just wanted to say I really appreciate the way that you structured this. The way that you, I guess really what I'm trying to say is I really appreciate the public-private partnership perspective for this. It makes so much sense. And the way that it was described, it is very similar in a lot of ways to the work that we do where I work in station areas for transit-oriented development. And I look forward to seeing how this goes as it goes to the proposal stage with criteria developed. And I think it'll be really interesting, but I think it's a great approach.
Any other questions? Councilor Martell?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is kind of more a comment and maybe more of a wish list, but I know I've talked to quite a few people here one-on-one, but I have a big, beautiful dream for Colastrand, and I don't really know how it fits into this conversation, but I kind of want to just get it shared out there with everyone. I think that our community has a void or a growing need for more of a art and culture gathering place. The success of the Clear Creek Makerspace as a learning opportunity and a gathering place has led to, I think, a need for more in the next year. And I have this big, beautiful dream with some of the asks around Colastrand and retaining the fields for our Parks and Rec, and the idea of a trail connecting through Colastrand and the access on one of our main corridors of repurposing that building into some type of art and culture space for performing arts, for artists, for the creative sector to go past a shared workspace of the makerspace, but to a place where people can actually have building space, art space, entrepreneurial space that somehow could be affordable or somehow be accessible to our residents, so they're not leaving Wheat Ridge to find those services in our other creative neighbor communities. So I don't really know what that looks like, but I would love to learn more about how to get involved in that kind of a process. And I just think we have some really good opportunities with both of these spaces in our community, and I look forward to seeing what's happening. Thank you.
If I could respond to that maybe real quickly, I think it's important that once this is out, we hear from you all on if you have potential partners that would be interested in getting this RFI out to them. I think that's kind of one of our biggest concerns is how we get this out to those types of groups. The school district has different names involved or groups too that might be interested. So so please, any of you, if you have a group or organization that might be a good fit, make sure they get the RFI. Thank you.
Councilor Okada?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Martell, as you were speaking about your dream that you have in that space, I'd be able to become a beacon and a leader in that regard, I think is very important too. So I just wanted to speak up and echo that and provide support.
Thank you. Counselor Ohm.
Thank you, Mayor. Long time ago, when unfortunately the school closed, I had a quick conversation with Superintendent Dorland about what would you think about if one of these became some type of culinary school, like a Ward Tech culinary school, because I know those are very popular, a lot of demand, and she was all in favor of it. So I got the impression that the school district, is flexible, if there's a good idea. And I would just encourage everybody to, keep reaching out to the school district and having conversations. Thank you.
I have a quick question. Back in 1920, something like that, we passed we helped the Color Strand community replace that playground.
Yep.
And we got GoCo funding and the city chipped in. What does that agreement still look like? I know it was like a 20-year agreement back then, and then how does that, is there any leverage does that give us when dealing with the school district?
It's still in place. It was not too long ago, just maybe 5-ish years ago. I do think from some of the verbal comments that the school district has made, they're challenged to balance, getting a return on investment for their coffers and what they view to be good use of taxpayer dollars, and also recognizing that there may be good, positive, other alternative public outcomes. I think they recognize fully the obligation from that grant. There's nothing that's changed in that agreement. I don't think that it gives us a gigantic discount on the land. We're not in a position with the fund that we have now to purchase all of Color Strand, for example. But yes, we have made them very much aware and reminded them of their obligations under that grant.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Doesn't sound like you were looking for a consensus, but does that feedback help you in your?
I think we got agreement from everybody that this is a good process to move forward with, and we'll do that.
Yes,
Okay.
we will do that. We will launch this in the next 45 days or so. To Patrick's point, we will, this is not like a traditional procurement process cone of silence. We will be trying to shout this from the rooftops to make sure all the eyeballs that need to see this opportunity see it. So we will send it out to you all to share with your contacts too. And then as you saw in the memo, we will start reviewing proposals after day 45, keeping that open if we need to for more proposals to roll in. So we'll keep you apprised.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have no other agenda items under our study session. Mr. Goff, do you have any other staff presentations?
Do
Or
you have anything else, Lauren? You got anything?
no? Okay. Then we will go back to the elected officials. Counselor Wood.
All I was going to say is I think these first few weeks or months, I've been spending time and being able to go to things to learn more about Wheat Ridge and what's going on and to meet people. I really appreciated the meeting that Councilor Quinn and I had with people a couple of weeks ago, and I look forward to tomorrow morning going to the Wheat Ridge Business Association breakfast, where I am sure I will learn a lot as well.
Thank you. Counselor Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my sisters and brothers from the Electrical Worker Minority Caucus for accepting our proclamation tonight. I've been involved in that union for over 30 years. Been a member of that Electrical Worker Minority Caucus for about half of it. And my first leadership retreat I went, changed my life. And those folks are good folks, and it was just a life-changing event to learn about my fellow sisters and brothers and the trials and tribulations people of color have in our trades, in our industry. And it was very eye-opening, and I was proud to recommend them for having that, for getting the proclamation, and I'm very happy they showed up. And so I know they're listening right now. So thank you all for coming in. I was warm and happy to see just about everybody from the caucus show up. That was really cool of them, and it makes me happy to know they haven't forgot about me because they meet on Monday nights. So I haven't been able to go.
Thank you. Counselor Martell.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. I want to say that I'm looking forward to attending some ribbon cuttings this week, as the mayor mentioned earlier. I'm also lost my thought. I'm also looking forward to the community safety meeting that Mayor Pro Tem Holteen and my fellow District 1 Councilor Jenny Snell are hosting on Wednesday night, and hope to see all of you there. And hope everybody has a safe, long weekend for those who are off work on Monday. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Snell.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to recognize Counselor Quinn for bringing our guests this evening. I really enjoyed their energy, and I want to just repeat something that I heard that's really worth repeating. Proclamations mean a lot, and proclamations draw attention to things that we need to pay attention to. But the bigger issue and the bigger ask of proclamations is that you continue the work after the proclamation is done. And he said it so eloquently in that, you know, we're going to hold you to this, and not in a. It's important to it adds legitimacy to these proclamations when the work is going on all year and the work is going on in different facets of our lives in our communities. So I really, really appreciated that. And thank you so much for introducing us to them. So thank you for that. And I thank you also, Councilor Martell, for mentioning our event coming up on Wednesday. Wednesday, it's 5 to 7 at our Wheat Ridge Rec Center, our Wheat Ridge Community Safety Information Fair. It's going to be a great event where folks can come, provide lots of, we're going to have plenty of community partners there to provide good information so that folks can connect with our community partners, learn a little bit more about what different partners can do within our communities, and connect with each other. And so we've got quite a list of community partners, but encourage everyone to join us. It will be a robust discussion, and we're looking forward to it. So thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Okada.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to give a quick message out to folks in District 4 and beyond that Councilmember Larson and I will be holding a District 4 district meeting on Tuesday the 17th at 6 p.m. at the Anderson Building. I said last time during the study session a week ago that it would be at the Makerspace, but that's not correct. It's actually going to be a few paces away, a somersault and a half away, over at the Anderson Building, and that's what we're going to be doing there for that day. Please come ask questions. We're really eager to engage with you all. The second thing I want to say is recently I had an opportunity to be reminded that checking gratitude and understanding in me what I'm enjoying in my life right now and what's important to me. The first thing that came to my mind after important things like my family and my cats and my wife was the work on council. I really deeply appreciate the work that we're doing here. Mayor Pro Tem Holteen predicted the feelings and the emotions I'd be going through on my first day, on the inauguration day. And one thing that is really important to me is that that's been growing quite a lot. I haven't found anything that is discouraging about the work that we're doing, and I know in some ways that makes me weird. I know all of us being up here and having a desire to go through this makes us a little bit weird. But that reminder that I had earlier to express this gratitude is compelling me. I feel like it's important to say so. So thank you all.
Thank you. Go, Councilor Larson.
And thank you, Mayor. And really about all I want to say is that everything Mike said, I will say again. No, I won't. I will just remind people that in District 4, we are having a community meeting on the 17th at the Anderson Building, and that is also on Mardi Gras. So there will be cash prizes for the best costume. No, I'm kidding.
Councilor Ohm. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Holteen.
Okay, I forgot something. Councilmember Ohm and I are having a District 2 meeting on February 28th at 3 o'clock at Stylus and Crate. And it's going to be fabulous. We have 0 cash prizes, but I have really good dad jokes. So if you want to come for some good dad, no, we're really excited to connect with our community. There's a lot going on in District 2, and we're excited to get people up to speed, hear their questions, and I do hope I get to see everyone on Wednesday at the Community Information Fair. I will mention that we've got Representative Brittany Pedersen's office coming, Senator Bennett's office is coming, Jefferson School Department of School Safety is coming. We've got some community partners who are doing community organizing coming. Our own Wheat Ridge Police Department's going to be there. So it's just a lot of really good, timely information from partners in the know. And it's a good opportunity for all of us to hear firsthand from our community what's at the forefront of their minds so that we can be informed on taking good action moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, it sounds like Wednesday is going to be a phenomenal night. Hopefully, we'll see everybody there. Again, Coffee with Mayor this coming Saturday at Stylus and Crate, 9 a.m. Look forward to seeing everybody there as well. We have no meeting next Monday. It is President's Day, so we will re-adjourn here in 2 weeks. We thank everybody. It is 9:24, so we adjourn. Have a good night.